Hey everybody, it's Chad from 6 Blog. So last weekend I went on a hike. I just did a quick, short, easy hike. Anyway, I'm not going to get into a whole lot of details as far as the hike. If you'd be interested in that, I actually just posted a trip report video for that last night along with a write-up and a bunch of pictures and stuff. But anyway, if you're interested in that, you can check that out. Just to kind of sum it up though, me and a couple of friends hiked from Max Patch to Hot Springs. It's about a 20-mile section. We had temperatures the first night down to 6 degrees, the second night was down to 22 degrees, and then during the days it kind of warmed up anywhere between mid-20s to probably mid-30s. Today I just want to do a little video, or tonight rather, do a little video and just talk about some of the gear that I used on the hike. Just one of my normal post-hike gear talk videos. Most of the stuff I want to talk about is going to be all my layering stuff that kind of kept me warm, because this is actually the coldest trip that I've been on as far as you know, ultimate lows. Like I said, it was 6 degrees. Prior to that, I've been on one other hike. It's been a couple of years ago. My wife and I went on a hike, and temperatures got down to about 8 or 9 degrees overnight. So this has been technically the coldest hike that I've been on. And then, of course, during the days, you know, it didn't really warm up just a whole lot. We did have some snow on the ground. However, since it never really got above freezing, the snow was actually, I hate to say powdery, but that's probably the best way I can explain it. It never really got to start thawing out and freeze again, so it wasn't wet snow, it was dry snow. So anyway, just a 2-night hike. Everything went well. So I just want to kind of quickly talk about some of the things I used on the hike. I want to talk about some of the smaller things, and then I'll get into my layering things. First off though, I want to talk, or just kind of mention again, this is my ZPacks Arc Blast. If you can see it all on the camera there. I've talked about this a lot, particularly in my post-hike gear talk videos. It's a great backpack. I absolutely love it. For this hike I had about 21.5 pounds total. I've carried a little over 24 pounds in this pack, and I've just been completely happy with the way it worked. I can't ask for anything really any better out of this pack. Super excited about it, and I look forward to using it a whole lot more. Actually, one of my friends that came with me on this hike, it was his first time using the same pack. He just went with a black one, and it was a 52 liter. This is, of course, the 60. But anyway, the pack rode great. It did really well. Nothing bad to say about it. I absolutely love it, and I'm looking forward to using it a lot more. If anything, I hate to say I'm going to, because I don't have any plans to, but it really makes me want to buy one of the smaller ones too to use whenever my loads aren't quite so much. But that's not really anything I'm worried about right now. Just kind of pointing it out. So anyway, my backpack. One thing I want to mention though is and I talked about this in my one of my videos from the hike. One thing that I have been having issues with on the last couple of hikes, that it just so happens that I have been using this pack. I haven't been using trekking poles. I've been weaning myself off of using trekking poles, and I've been enjoying just being able to have my hands free to catch myself, or to bend over and pick something up off the ground, or just whatever it is I needed to use my hands for, take a picture or video. But the last couple of hikes that I haven't been using my trekking poles, I've been noticing that big bone right at the bottom of your neck, C7, it's really been hurting me really bad after, you know, even after the first day of hiking, and then of course, you know, a couple of weeks afterwards. And for some reason it just hit me on this hike. While I was walking, of course, I didn't have any trekking poles in my hands, but I just picked my arms up and started acting like I was using them, and just the amount of relief that I felt right across the top of my shoulders from just kind of walking around with my shoulders or my arms dragging and hanging, you know, like limp sausages. Instead, I was actually doing something with them, and you know, it felt better. And I talked to one of the guys that was with me, Chris, and he was saying that makes sense, because from the way I can best describe it, I guess, is you know, all day my body and everything's getting a workout from hiking and stuff, but my arms and my shoulders is just kind of sitting there getting beat up from the pack or whatever. However, when I actually use trekking poles and stuff, I'm actually using these muscles a little bit more, stretching them out and stuff. So maybe that's maybe it's just a bunch of tension and stuff that's building up here because I haven't been using trekking poles. So for my next hike, I'm going to go back to using 2 trekking poles and see if that makes a difference. I will say that the first day I didn't use trekking poles at all. Second day I did use them, and I was able to tell some difference. And then when I got back from the hike altogether, I haven't had any pain with my neck. So that really makes me think that I'm going to go back to using trekking poles, so I'll just see. So anyway, I'm not going to talk about the trekking pole. I just wanted to remind myself of that, so I put it up here. On this hike, instead of carrying my Sawyer Mini, I decided to carry Aqua Mira, and I think that would be fine. I didn't want to carry the Mini because I didn't want to worry about it freezing up, because you know, if they freeze, technically you're supposed to chunk them, because if they do freeze, you can't guarantee that they're actually working. The water may have frozen there and expanded and actually busted some of those little pores that are inside the filter. May have opened them up, tore it, or whatever, so you can't really count on that. Of course, you can keep the filter in your pocket or in my sleeping bag or whatever to keep it warm, but since we were anticipating such low temperatures constantly, I decided that I wanted to go with Aqua Mira. And like I say, I think that's a fine idea. However, I think that using this little mixer bottle, this is actually from Lawson Klein. No, this is from Light Trail. I believe this is from Light Trail. I've had it for a couple of years. Anyway, I pre-mix, I didn't pre-mix, but I've repackaged the Aqua Mira into these two bottles here, and then I was going to pre-mix in the mornings in this little black bottle. I know you probably can't see that. But anyway, I don't know if, of course the Aqua Mira didn't freeze, but as I was putting drops from the big bottles into the little pre-mixing bottle in the morning, it was having a hard time. I don't know if it was just thick or whatever, and the hole is just so small that when I was putting them in there, it was just kind of bubbling up over the top, so it was running down and stuff. So I knew right quick that I wasn't going to be able to get an exact, precise measurement from the drops, so I didn't really see any sense of even worrying about trying to use it if it's not going to be right anyway. So I'm thinking that I'll probably continue to carry Aqua Mira on cold trips like this one. However, I'm just either going to repackage them in these bottles here and carry the little mixing cap, or I may just carry the whole bottle. But I think using that mixing cap, you know, it's a bigger opening and stuff. It's a lot easier to put the drops in there and measure, and I think that's just what I'm going to do. So I think for warmer weather, these little mixing bottles probably a great idea, but for colder weather, for me, I don't think it's going to be a great idea. One other thing that I carried with me, and this was actually something new, this is one of the little AcuRite thermometers. I read some reviews on them BPL. There's actually a lot of people that use them, and a lot of people say that, you know, for what they are, they work pretty good. I paid $6 for it at Walmart with a little beaner on it. It weighs in at 1.4 ounces, and it shows a min and a max temperature. The way it works is whenever I pulled the little tab out that, you know, keeps the battery from working while it's packaged, I pulled that little tab out. It was almost 7 o'clock at night that night. So it runs on a 24-hour cycle. So what that means is every 24 hours it resets the min and max. I don't know why, but that's the way it works. But it actually works out pretty well considering I pulled it down to about 7 o'clock, because what that means is by 7 o'clock in the afternoon, the highs for the day are going to be recorded. So at 7 o'clock, or 6:30, I can look at it and I can see what the low for the night before was and what the high for that day was. And then at 7 o'clock, it's going to reset and it's going to start over. So that actually turned out to work pretty well. But anyway, it was like I say, $6, 1.4 ounces with a carabiner. Definitely not a necessity, but you know what? 1.4 ounces, I've got my pack weight so low, this isn't going to make a difference, and I rather enjoy knowing what the mins and the maxes and all that stuff was. So I think for the cold weather hikes, that's probably going to be coming with me on all of them from now on. And possibly the hot ones too, I don't know, we'll see. Let's see. The Jetboil MiniMo, of course, this was a Christmas gift. This was something that I've been wanting after watching John and Bella's videos and listening to John talk about it. And I carried it with me on this hike. I used it a couple of times to boil water to make tea before I cooked my dinners, and then of course after I cooked my dinners, and then of course I used it to cook my dinners. The first dinner was the Food to Go Thai curry. I actually enjoyed that rather well. It was a good meal. However, I had a double portion. I don't think that I would order a double portion again, and not because it was necessarily bad, but just because it wasn't so good that I enjoyed eating such a large amount of it. Eating on the trail is something that's kind of tough for me, especially just going out for a couple of days. It usually takes 5 or 6 days to kind of build up an appetite. At least for me, it would. So the first few days, I really have to force feed myself some stuff. And I found that even at home, some stuff that I enjoy at home, I don't enjoy so much on the trail. Don't get me wrong, the Thai curry meal, I did enjoy it, but I think a double portion was just a little bit more than I wanted. I did eat it all. I was happy. I didn't have a bad tummy or anything like that afterwards. And I would suggest it, especially like I say, I can get them off of Amazon now for about $8 with Prime. So that's a pretty good deal. Second night I had the Cesar's pad Thai. And I got to say, that is probably my favorite trail meal currently. I got done eating that, and I was scraping the pot because I wanted some more. It was really good, and honestly, I would have been fine with that both nights on the trail. And it's nice because the ingredients are easy to find for the most part. It's real inexpensive, probably cost me less than $1 per serving. And it's easy to make, it's easy to clean up after, and it just really tastes good. So I'm really happy with that. Anyway, clean up, like I said, the second night I did cook the pad thai in here. As far as clean up after I got done eating, I cleaned my bowl real good, or I cleaned the pot out real good from eating, and then I just added some more water, brought it to a boil, kind of used my finger to kind of clean off the sides and stuff, and then I threw that water out. After that, I just kind of put a little more water in there, cleaned it up a little more, and dried it out with a handkerchief, and it worked out rather well. As far as the MiniMo itself, it is a nice little cook pot, and it is nice having the slightly larger size or volume than my Soul TI. However, in my opinion, it does the exact same thing as my Soul TI. The only difference is this weighs 1/4 pound more than my Soul TI. Since I sent my Soul TI in to have the valve and the threads replaced, I'm able to simmer on that just as well as I can on this. So I don't know if it's a different kind of valve they put in or what, but anyway, that's what I can come up with. That weighs 8 ounces, this weighs 12.9 ounces. I did find out that if I remove these handles, I can save another 0.9 ounces, which will bring it to 12 ounces. However, like I said, that's still 4 ounces heavier than my Soul TI, or 1/4 pound. So it just depends. I could see using this more so on winter hikes or cold weather hikes where I may want a little bit more volume than I could probably warmer weather hikes. But it is nice, it's neat, it does a good job at what it's supposed to do. I don't think it's going to be something that I'm going to, die hard feel that's going to have to go on my pack though. But anyway, it is what it is. Let me see here. The tent, the first night we stayed in the shelter. That's the night it got down to 6. Second night we set up camp. I set up my Solo Plus Hexamid tarp and of course my Hexanet, and it worked out great. Didn't have any condensation in it whatsoever the next morning. It just works out good. It only weighs, I think, about 20 ounces for 14 steaks, the steak bag, the stuff sacks, of course the tarp, the Hexanet, the little extras I put on the Hexanet, and a cut down piece of polycro that I use under the Hexanet. So 20 ounces ain't a bad weight at all. I'm really happy with it. I will admit that I have really been wanting to get a MLD dual mid, simply because it'll offer a little more space on the inside, but what really makes me want it is the fact that all 4 walls go all the way down to the ground. I haven't had any issues with that so far, and I think it works great. But on really, really windy hikes or something like that, I think that I would really enjoy having the dual mid. So, not trying to downplay the Hexamid at all. I love it. Not going to get rid of it. So far, that's been my favorite tent of all the tents I've ever used, and I highly recommend it. But for us gearheads, we just kind of see something else and we're like, I got to try that. Moving on, my sleep system. As far as my pad and bag and everything, I carried the Exped SynMat UL7. This was also a Christmas gift. Been anxious to try one of these out for quite a while. A lot of people talk a lot of good things about them. I've always been a Neo Air person. But anyway, after using a older SynMat one night, just out of the blue that I've had for a long time, I found that they weren't quite as uncomfortable as I remembered them. So my wife got me this for Christmas. I took it out this past weekend. I'd never used it though, so I didn't know what to expect as far as how warm it was going to keep me. So I actually supplemented with all this pad here. And just so you know, this is about an extra 5 ounces of pad. This is a Lawson Klein. This is one of his 1/8-inch pads that's cut down to about 20 inches wide by 60 inches long. And then this is just a cross-linked polyethylene CCF pad that a friend got for me. It's more like about 1/4 inch thick. And this one's only about 48 inches wide, or long, and 20 inches wide. And what I did is I put the 1/8-inch pad down first, then I put the Exped pad down, and then I put the thicker pad on top so that it was directly against me. I used the Marmot Helium 15-degree sleeping bag, and like I said, the first night it was 6 degrees inside the shelter where we were all at. I don't know what the temperature was actually outside the shelter. It was a smaller shelter, slept 5, there was 4 of us inside. So I'm wanting to say that it was probably a little bit warmer, maybe a degree or 2 warmer inside. But anyway, Of course, the platform in the shelter is raised up off the ground, so a lot of the wind, which thankfully was coming from behind us, so the shelter was shielding us from most of the wind. However, some of that wind, I know, kind of made the platform a little colder, but this stuff here kept me warm. I will say the down mat UL7 is listed at 20 ounces for the same size, which is the medium, or 72 inches long by 20 inches wide. So I probably carry more weight with all this. However, it is kind of nice if something were to happen to the pad, I would still have this as backup. So I don't know. I will say that I'm kind of wanting to get a warmer R value pad, and the down mat UL7 is kind of on my radar. However, I'm looking forward to see what's coming out this year. Of course, the Neo Air is coming out with the Xtherm Max, which is a Xtherm pad, but it's rectangular cut, which I prefer a rectangular cut pad over a mummy cut pad any day. So anyway, I'm going to just see what comes out this year. But for now, I am happy about this pad. I think it did a good job. I don't think that it's really going to kick out my Neo Air X-Lite. I think that it's still going to come along with me on the majority of my trips. But I'm excited to have this in my kit, and it's something I can use if I want to use, or let my son, my wife, or somebody use it on a hike. So now I want to talk about layering. I actually have a post that I posted a couple of years ago on my blog about layering, and I've got to say that even today it's still pretty much the exact same. There are a couple of things that are a little bit different. I'll talk about those right now. A couple of weeks ago, well, a couple of months ago, I took my kids to Wye Gap, and we did a short little hike. And I wore these same socks here. These are some SmartWool medium weight crew length socks. I wore these socks in my Innovate Roclite 243s, and my feet stayed cold the entire time. Now I will say on that hike the snow was melting, so it was kind of wet snow. My shoes stayed wet, and then my Roclite 243s are kind of minimalist. It's pretty much all mesh on the top. There's not really any kind of protection or any kind of plastic or anything, or rubber rinds or anything around the bottom portion of the shoe. It's just pretty much mesh all the way down to the sole. So my feet stay cold. Plus the 243s are built on a smaller, kind of more form-fitting, narrow last than my 315s are. So on this hike, I thought to myself, I'm going to wear the same socks, but I'm going to wear my 315s because they're bigger. My foot has a little more wiggle room inside them, and it won't be necessarily, I hate to say constricting, because I don't think the 243s really constrict, but they do fit a bit closer than my 315s. So anyway, I wore those, and I wore this, and my toes were good for just about the whole hike. There were a couple of times that my feet kind of got cold, but they weren't near like it was on my previous hike. So I think for winter, colder hikes, I'm going to stick with something like this, and probably just a little bit looser fitting shoe like my Innovate Roclite 315s. So that worked out rather well. Another thing that's a little bit different, my hands. Like my toes, I get cold hands. So the setup that I went with this time was these three items here. These are the OR Outdoor Research PL150 Gloves, 150 weight fleece. These are the ZPacks Mitts. I think they're 100 weight fleece is all they are. And then this is the MLD Event overmitts. And basically all I did is for most of the hike, I put my glove on, and then I put my fleece mitt on over the glove. And that was warm enough for a majority of the hike. Of course, if I was in a lot of wind or anything like that, I would still get, my fingers and stuff would still get pretty cold. So all I did at that point is I just took one of my event mitts, my MLD mitts, put those on, and then just kind of cinch those up. And I will say it's really amazing at how much extra warmth I was able to get from using these event mitts, from blocking the wind or making my own little microclimate inside or whatever. It was a lot of extra warmth just by putting these on, so that made it really nice. The downside of this is I have no dexterity whatsoever when using this. These mitts are still kind of big. I mean, I don't really have any kind of fine dexterity or whatever when using this. So if I ever wanted to do anything, particularly take a picture or get some water or something, I definitely had to go down to at least this. And if I wanted to use my camera and stuff, I usually had to completely come out like that. I will say that I just left my glove inside the fleece mitt because it made taking them on and off a lot easier. And like I said, for the most part, I was like this. And that worked out rather well. I did order some of these. These are the, if I got it on right, I think I do. These are the I may have it on backwards. No, I think that's backwards. Okay, yeah, that's right. These are the Enlightened equipment. These are the 4 ounce per square yard Climate Shield Apex mitts. However, they didn't make it to me in time. They didn't show up until like, I think Friday or Saturday. Of course, I was already on the trail by then. So I was going to carry these, and of course I can layer these with my my MLD mitts. And they're a little puffier than this combination, so it kind of fills up my mitt a little bit, but it's still not quite. There's still a lot of room inside that mitt there. So anyway, next hike coming up, I got one I'm planning on doing in March, hopefully. If it's cold enough, I'll carry these. These are 1.9 ounces, and I'll talk about those more. But I didn't really use them, so I can't really say much about them now. But anyway, that was my hand stuff. Usually, just to kind of get right down nitty gritty, usually I wear a pair of 9-inch Under Armour underwear. 9-inch because they don't ride up quite so much as the most 6-inch underwear, you know, the leg length the underwear does. So I usually wear 9-inch. And then over that I wear my Columbia SliverRidge Convertible Pants over those. This hike, just because we were expecting such cold temps, I wore my Patagonia Cap 2 long pants as underwear, and then I wore my pants over those. So I didn't use the Under Armour at all. This worked out pretty well. It's not as comfortable, I don't think, as wearing my Under Armour underwear as these. So next time, if I decide I think I need these on under my pants, even to hike in, I'll probably still wear my Under Armour underwear and then just put these on over it. But it's not bad. But at night, this allowed me to just slip my pants off. I had these on. I put my down pants on over those, and then my down socks on over those. And then I slept. I had a clean pair of these in my pack. I would put the clean pair on, and that kept my lower legs warm. As far as the top, I hiked the whole time. This was my base layer. It's Patagonia Cap 2. I hiked in that the entire time. It never came off my body. And then on top of that, the whole time never came off my body was the Patagonia Cap 4. And this is the hoodie. I really love this thing because the hood part zips up so it's like a balaclava. It actually comes up to about my top lip, kind of covers all that. However, I will say, since I've lost a lot of weight, it's a little baggier on me now than it was. I could probably stand to go to at least a large. That's an extra large. But anyway, it really worked out good because when I was asleep at night, I would just zip that thing up, and it would kind of cover my cheeks, my lower cheeks, and my mouth, right up under my nose. And what that allowed me to do is when I exhaled, a lot of that moisture from my breath was actually getting caught, you know, right there in that part of the shirt. And that meant when I woke up the next morning, my sleeping bag didn't have that, you know, icy mist or whatever over the top of it from where I've been breathing all night, and, you know, it come down and soak my bag. And to be quite honest too, this wasn't really completely soaked or anything, because I'd imagine throughout the night my head would poke out and then I would kind of go snuggle back down or whatever. It worked out really well. So anyway, I really love that setup there. This is my North Face Verto jacket, wind jacket. I wore this pretty much the whole time too. It worked really good. I have a Patagonia Houdini. To be honest though, I think I like this one a lot more. The Houdini, of course, weighs more than this. This is only 2.9 ounces. It is a little more breathable, which could be beneficial in some situations, but I found for me, the slightly less breathable, but still somewhat breathable, North Face Vertex has suited my needs a bit better. So anyway, that's that. On this hike, this is the first time I've ever hiked while wearing my down top. And of course my down top is the Montbell X-Lite Anorak. Wore it a couple of times, not the whole time I was hiking, but a couple of times I did have this on. If you watch my trip report videos, you'll see that I was actually hiking in this some of the times. And I was really happy with it. I haven't seen, which like I say, it's not tons, but just from what I've used it, I don't see any kind of wear or anything on the shoulders or across the bottom where the hip belt ran. Everything seems to be fine there. At night when I would sleep, I did not sleep in this. I just took it off and kind of shoved it down in the sleeping bag with me. It would either be up beside me or down by my feet, or if I felt like I needed it, kind of draped across my chest. If I turned over on my side, I usually stuck it up against the side where the zipper was, just to kind of help make sure no drafts or anything snuck in through the zipper. But anyway, it worked out really good. And I got to say that I'm really excited that I was able to take my sleep setup comfortably. And when I say comfortably, I mean I was comfortable. I wasn't, shivering, I wasn't cold, you know, I was able to lay there comfortably. Of course, my nose that was sticking out, it got kind of cold and everything, but inside my bag I was comfortable the entire night that it got down to 6 degrees. I fully believe that with the same setup that I brought tonight, or not tonight, but the other night, that I could easily take that down to 0 degrees and I would not have any issues with it. I do think though if it got down to 0 degrees or below, I might start having some issues because you can only push it so far. And of course too, those were in good conditions. You know, it was a clear night. There was a lot of wind, but we were inside a shelter and we were for the most part sheltered from the wind. Anyway, everything went good. Really happy. Enjoyed the hike. Really happy with the way all of my gear worked, other than particularly my Aqua Mira drops. And then of course it was nice that I figured out about the trekking poles, but I'm excited to see on my next hike if that really makes that big of a difference. So anyway, I think that's pretty much it. I'm sorry, I know this was a long video, didn't intend for it, but anyway, I appreciate everybody that stuck around watching. If you have any comments or questions, just post them below and I'll do my best to get back and reply to any comments or answer any questions you may have. And everybody, I appreciate you watching. See you next time.